Hey everybody, welcome back to A Brush with Coaching. So yesterday I spoke about the difference between thriving and surviving. What I suggested was that to thrive in life, what we as humans need is exactly the same as what my garden needs. It needs some regular watering, it needs some regular feeding, and it needs some regular pruning. And it's the same with our lives. We need to be thinking about what are we watering, what we're pouring into our lives. What are we feeding into our bodies and our lives, and what do we need to prune from our lives? Now that's all very well and good, but if we're going to do those things more consciously, we need to free up some time and some capacity. So how do we go about doing that? Well, I said yesterday that this week we're going to be looking at time management, and then next week we're going to be looking at energy. And the reason I said that is, if you think about it, they're the only two things you've got at your disposal. Where you're spending your time and where you're expending your energy. That's how we get stuff done. So this week, for the rest of this week, we're going to be looking at time management. And let me say right up front, I've lied to you. Because actually we're not going to be looking at time management. Because you can't manage time. You are given each day exactly the same amount of time as anybody else. And it's just going to go on its merry way, regardless of what you do. So maybe the first thing we need to do is drop the idea that we can manage time. And think about, where am I investing the time that I'm given? And to do that, I want to quickly take us through a really simple, really effective tool, which I'm sure you've heard of, but you're almost certainly not using or not using effectively. And it's called the Eisenhower matrix. And the Eisenhower matrix has two axes. On one axis, it has importance, and something is either important or not important. And on the other axis, it has urgency, and something is either urgent or not urgent. And when you plot those things out, you end up, as you can see here, with a 2x2 grid. And therefore we've got 4 quadrants. Now quadrant 1 is our important and urgent space. And that's the space we need to be working in, we need to do it, but we need to minimise it. Because that's a position of crisis, it's pressing problems, it's immediate deadlines, and we don't do our best work when we're under that kind of pressure. So yes, we need to work on it, but we need to be working hard at minimising it. And how do we minimise it? Well, we minimise it by working more consciously in quadrant 2. And what quadrant 2 is not urgent but important. Okay, so not urgent and important are all the things that are you investing in the long term. So things like relationship building, finding new opportunities, long-term planning, preventative activities, personal growth, they're all in quadrant 2. And we want to maximise the time we spend in there. And we want to plan it and schedule it so these things don't end up in quadrant 1. Quadrant 3, things that are urgent but not important. This might be things like interruptions, many of our emails and our calls, some of the meetings we go to. Some of the activities actually we quite enjoy doing, so we do them anyway, but if we're really honest with ourselves, they're not that important. And for this space, what we need to do is manage them. And by managing it, what I mean is we delegate it, we make it as efficient, as effective to get those things done, but we don't spend a lot of time there if we can help it. And the final quadrant, quadrant 4, is things that are not important and not urgent. And this is the area where we just have to mitigate. What I mean by mitigate is have a plan for not finding yourself there. Because this is a place of trivia. This is a place of distraction. This is a place of, where did the hour go? So some calls and some emails, some activities that we might quite enjoy, but don't actually deliver very much for us. And often it's the space of time wasters, and people rob us of time, which actually we could invest better elsewhere. So that's the Eisenhower matrix. It's really simple to use, but most of us don't use it well. To use it well, what we need to do is A, carry it with us in your notebook, on your electronic device, whatever it might be, and B, what we need to do is make sure we are allocating our tasks and our priorities accordingly, and then starting with the first things first. Now, how we do that, come back tomorrow, because that's the topic for tomorrow's blog. Until then, stay well, take care, bye-bye.